Dozier's head was full at this point. After looking at his phone for a few minutes, he decided to continue eating his food. He knew he needed strength to be able to deal with his wife. He quickly finished the food and sat down quietly to think about his life. Thinking about everything now, he realized his heart started to beat faster from the moment he saw Reby. That fateful Christmas Eve, when he had seen her at the village square, his heart jumped up and started to beat faster, but he thought it was a good thing. Little did he know that it was his heart sending him a signal about the girl being a bag of trouble. If only he had interpreted it well, maybe he wouldn't be here today. But I can't continue like this. If I allow this girl, she will send me to an early grave. I thought she had changed for good since she started working for Enkay, but this her new character. I can't deal with it. I need to do something. Imagine the nonsense. She took 500,000 naira for antenatal for a baby that is not even up to 2 months. Okay, let me confirm first before I run into conclusions. Dozie then waited until the woman who sold abacha for them at the market arrived, and he used the opportunity to confirm his doubts. Mama Ada, please don't be offended though. I want to confirm something from you. I know you're experienced in this. At what time does a new pregnant woman start antenatal? How does it work? Mama Ada smiled and then answered him. It depends, Sha. If it is a first-time pregnant woman, then immediately she notices that she's pregnant, she needs to go to the hospital for checks and scan too. But for routine antenatal, we don't start it until 3 months. Dozie nodded his head slowly. But one more question. Do all these things cost much, like the checks and all the scan? Does it cost up to 500,000 naira? Mama Ada's eyes widened in shock. 500 guinea? No now. Is it not baby that she's carrying in her womb? Even if it is all these big hospitals safe, they won't charge up to that amount. See Oga Dozie, in some big hospitals, that 500,000 naira is what you will spend for the whole 9 months, even plus delivery money. But for small hospitals, you won't even spend up to quarter of that money. You see, that is the problem with most men. They just assume that pregnancy and delivery is cost, and that is why they don't want to marry. These things are not that cost though. Dozie looked at the woman with his side eyes. Mama Ada, I did not ask you that one, but don't say this anywhere. Oh. These things are expensive and one must be prepared for it before going into it. Thank you. I have already eaten today. Maybe tomorrow I'll buy you abacha. As the woman left, Dozie could not hold back his shock anymore. Reby, so this is how you are. You want to wreck me. After all the ones you have been doing, and I would forgive. Now you want to use pregnancy to scam me. It's okay. We shall see who we have the last laugh. Don't blame me for whatever happened next, Reby. Dozie remained calm, and even when he returned home that night, he did not confront Reby or give her any clue that he saw her withdrawal from his account. Reby was surprised, however, at his reaction. She had expected him to come back home, raining down fire and brimstone, complaining about her withdrawal. And then she would use her magical words again to neutralize him. She even prepared him a special meal because of that. But this one that he's acting all calm, that is good though. It makes it even better for future operations, Reby thought to herself. That night, Reby and Dozie slept peacefully, and then the next morning, Reby woke up to the greatest shock of her life. She saw Dozie sitting by the side chair with all her bags neatly packed and stacked on each other. Honey, good morning. Are you not going to your shop today? This one, my bags are out of the wardrobe. Are you looking for something? Dozie looked up from his phone, and Reby could see the sternness in his eyes. You're awake. Good. Now go in and prepare. We are going to your parents' house now. Reby frowned in confusion. What are we going there to do? We did not discuss about traveling, and even if we want to travel, why is it only my bags you packed? What of yours? Dozie looked impatient. Reby, I don't have time for your questions this morning. I need to go to the village and be back today. And for your information, you are going to your parents' house to stay. They need to give you proper home training. And maybe by God's grace, another man would come and marry you later. Because as for me, I am done. Now hurry up. Don't waste my time. Erima smiled at this point. Honey, what type of play are you trying to play this morning now? You want to send your pregnant wife back to the village. Where is it done? You must be joking, Erima said, flashing a smile. But then, she looked at Dozie's face and saw that he was turned serious. She immediately stood up. Wait, oh, you are serious? But why? We did not have any arguments. I did not do anything. We are good now. Why would you want to take me back? Dozie looked at Erima ridiculously and ignored her. He stood up and started packing her bags to the car. It was at that point that Erima knew that she was in deep trouble. Dozie was serious about taking her back, but they did not have any arguments. She suspected the money she withdrew yesterday to be the issue, but he did not say anything, so that should not be the issue. But then what else? She had been very careful lately, playing her games wisely. Erima ran after Dozie and met him at the sitting room, coming in to get her remaining bags. She fell to her knees and started to cry. Please, honey, don't do this to me. What have I done wrong? I know I have not been the best of wife, but I have changed. You said it yourself. Please, don't let the devil divide us. Dozie shook off her hands from his legs. Erima, you are the devil. You are the one who used your hands to ruin your home. I gave you countless second chances, but you kept on being stupid, thinking you were wise. Well, you will go to your father's house and continue your business strategies so that you can make them millionaires probably. And if you think the pregnancy will change my mind, well, newsflash, you are not the first person to go back to their father's house with pregnancy. You will stay back there. And after you finish giving birth, I will come and take my child from you because you will never return to my house again. And I can't trust you to raise up my child with your dubious character. Erima cried even more loudly. Hey, I am finished. Is this how my hand will be? Please, honey, don't do this to me. You did not even accuse me of anything. What did I do now? I thought we were good. This baby was the miracle we were looking for. Please, let's talk about this. I will do anything you want. Dozie looked at her for a second and then nodded. Good, let's talk. Sit down. Now, I have only one question and I want the correct answer with evidence too. How much have you stolen from me in total? Erima was shocked. So it was about the money. She blinked and seemed to have lost her memory, but she was brought back to consciousness by Dozie's harsh tone. You are wasting your time, not mine. The earlier you start talking, the better for you. Erima scratched her head. Just last night, she had done the calculations privately and she was pleased with how much she had made. Little did she know that it would be brought up this morning. 1.5 million. Dozie did not look surprised or shocked at all. He had expected even more. 1.5 plus the 500,000 naira you stole yesterday. That's 2 million naira. Erima shouted in protest. No, the 500,000 is among. Everything is 1.5 million. Dozie looked at her deeply. I want to see all your bank account details. If you lie to me, it will be at your loss because I will go to the bank and request that all the accounts under your name be frozen, so you will lose all the money. Dozie knew that this was not possible to do, but he just said that to scare Erima so that she would open up. Erima opened her phone and showed Dozie all the money in her accounts. Dozie then made her transfer everything to him, leaving Erima empty. I know you must have hidden some money in your bags, but I'll leave those ones for you. Let it be what you gained from this marriage. Since you don't want to take your bait, it is alright. You will do that when you get to your father's house. I don't have any more time to waste. With that, Dozie grabbed the crying Erima by the hand and took her to the car. He locked the seat and drove off straight to Ozala. As they got to Erinma's father's house, Dozie came out from the car and started to offload her bags. Erinma's mother was the first to come out. She was happy to see her son-in-law, but then she saw him bringing down bags that seemed like her daughter's bags. And when she peeped, she saw Erinma still sitting in the car, looking like someone who was crying. She knew at that point that there was trouble. She walked up to Dozie. "My in-law, you're welcome. You came with your wife. I hope all is well." Dozie smiled and greeted her. "Good day, Mama. All is well. Is Papa around?" Erinma's mother nodded, and Dozie then went inside. Erinma's mother went to meet Erinma, who was sitting with her head bowed down in shame. "Erinma, what is the problem? He came with your bags. Did you make your husband angry? What is the problem? What did you do?" But Erinma did not lift up her head. Her mother had to leave her to go inside the house. Erinma's father was already seated with Dozie, who still had a serious expression on his face. After exchanging pleasantries, Dozie told them the reason he had come. "My in-laws, I greet you again. I remember the first time I came here, around last Christmas. I came on my own will because I believe I had seen a beautiful flower that would beautify my life. But to be honest, that flower was no flower at all. Instead, it was bitter leaf. I am sorry to say this, but since I brought Erinma into my house, it has been from one problem to another. She has given everything to me except peace of mind. Erinma is stubborn, greedy, and wicked. She has embarrassed me everywhere, at home, in the streets, at the markets where I do business. Will you believe that Erinma has been to the hotel 2 times and she had even slept there overnight?" Erinma's parents were shocked but still confused. Erinma had not been a troublesome person, so what exactly was Dozie talking about? "My son, this whole thing is confusing to us. What do you mean by stubborn and troublesome? Please explain so we would understand." Dozie then took his time and narrated everything Erinma had been up to, including her recent dishonest attitude towards him, and her parents couldn't hold back their disappointment and shock. Her mother started to cry. "Erinma has killed me, oh. Who did this to me? My own child. My enemies have finally gotten me." Her father was embarrassed as well as disappointed. "I did not raise her that way. We are hardworking and honest people. She must have picked that up from outsiders. My son, you have tried and you were really patient with her. If I was in your shoes, I doubt if I would have been this patient. I apologize on behalf of our daughter's actions." Dozie was silent and then asked, "Mama, please, I want to ask you something. How much does this cost for a pregnant woman to go for antenatal? Because Erinma collected 500,000 naira from me for antenatal for a pregnancy that is just 2 weeks old. I don't know if that is how it is usually done." Erinma's mother's eyes widened in shock. 500,000 naira? Chai, Erinma, that is heartless. This is too much. My son, please, we are very sorry on behalf of our daughter. She's just a child. Dozie nodded. "I know that she's just a child, and that is why I decided to bring her back, so that she can learn the way children learn. She's pregnant with my child, so I will not abandon her totally. I will be sending 20,000 naira monthly for the baby's sake. I know of several men who won't even send anything in such cases. I believe in our mother's time. They didn't spend much. She can register at the health center when it is time. It is free there. I will also send foodstuffs across so that she doesn't complain of hunger. I believe I am fair here after everything she has cost me." Erinma's parents were speechless. Indeed, their son-in-law was kind. If it was other men, they wouldn't have even given them any audience. Instead, they would have just dumped their daughter and zoomed off. Seeing that his mind was made up, they thanked him for doing them the honor of informing and hoping that he would settle the issue with his wife soon. Dozie came out of the house to leave, but Erinma was still in the car. She had refused to come down since. He went to her side of the door and opened it, asking her to respect herself and calm down to avoid being pushed. Erima's eyes were swollen and red now. She quietly respected herself and came down from the car, standing in regret and shame as she watched Dozie's car zoom off. Erima fell to the floor and started to cry out loud. Dozie, please come back. Hey, Erima, look at what you have done to yourself. Jojo, it will never be well with you. I am finished. Look at my life now. What will I tell people brought me back to the village when they ask me? Erima's mother came out to meet Erima crying. Erima, what is it? Do you want to kill yourself? When you were misbehaving, you did not think of the consequences. Now you are crying. You better pray. Pray that he changes his mind and comes back for you. If not, this house will not contain me and you. I did not return with a pregnancy to my own father's house. Do you know the shame you have brought to us? You made it seem as if we did not train you well. Have you ever seen me lie or steal your father's money? How many times have you seen someone come to the house to report that they saw me fighting at the market? But you, Erima, you broke the record for this family. You did everything that is against our family's principles. You are lucky you are pregnant. If not, you would have known what it feels like to be stupid. But mind you, here is not the city. You are in the village, so get ready to live like us. I will treat you the way we treat pregnant women here. That makes them very strong and healthy. There is nothing like pregnancy cravings or massage here. So you better set your mind straight. Since you spat out the sugar placed in your mouth, I will feed you with bitter leaf. Erima remained still as her mother scolded her. And at that point, she knew how much of a fool she had been. Now she was back to the village where there was no luxury or pretense. She would carry her pregnancy alone without the help or care of her husband. After crying to her fill on the floor, Erima stood up, dusted herself and carried her bags inside the house. She went to take her bath, and just when she thought she could lay her head to rest, her father knocked on the door. Erima stood before him trembling. Erima, I hope you are proud of yourself. After everything we taught you on how to be a good wife, you went there and chose to embarrass us. You painted our family black. Do we look like hungry people or thieves? Even if we don't have surplus, haven't we always been content with what we have? But you allowed the spirit of greed to take over you. You will pay dearly for your actions. If you think I will let you relax in my house and enjoy the comfort you did not create, then you must be joking. You will get up and walk like every other person here. No one is going to pamper you. Every man nodded her head as her father gave her his rules. Immediately he left. Erima fell to the ground again and started to cry. She soon felt hungry and she went into the kitchen to get food. But then, when she opened the pots, she saw all of them empty. She went to meet her mother to ask for food. Mama, there is no food in the pots. I am hungry. But her mother shot her a sharp look. I did not add your stomach when I was making the food this morning. After all, which mother prays for her daughter to be sent out of her husband's house? Erima, avoid me. I just wished he had returned you earlier when you were yet to get pregnant, so that I can teach you a proper lesson. Now, because of this baby, I won't be able to do what I want to do. Go to the store and collect 1 yam. Mind you, I counted all my foodstuffs, even my rice, so I will know when you tamper with anyone. Respect yourself in this house, Erima. Erima nodded her head and went to get the yam. She boiled it and ate it with palm oil. It was already evening, and so when she finished eating, she went in to sleep. However, the next morning, before the first cock crow, Erima's mother entered her room, and when she saw Erima still sleeping, she sprinkled water all over her to wake her up. What do you think you will gain by sleeping all your time away? Do you want your child to be lazy? Don't you know that a pregnant woman should be active at all times so that she also has an active child? Get up from there and let's start going to the farm. Erima sat up, cleaned her eyes, And when she looked at her phone, she saw that it was not even yet 6 a.m. It was still too early to go to the farm, and Reby knew at once that her mother was just being mean towards her. But she couldn't complain. She got up and followed her mother, who gave her a list of instructions. Go and sweep the whole compound. Make use of that long broom at the back of the house so that you don't bend down. After that, you go and sweep the fireplace and put fresh firewood there. Then go to Mazude's compound to fetch water before they go out. If not, you will have to go to the stream to fetch that water. And make sure you finish on time so that you can prepare plantain porridge for us. Your father needs to eat before going out. Reby could feel her head banging at this point. It was happening. She had returned to the life she thought she had escaped, and now she was not even sure when it would end. If it was her mother-in-law who was treating her this way, she would be tagged wicked and evil. But now, this was her own mother who had always been kind and gentle towards her. For her mother to harden her heart against Reby, it meant that she was deeply hurt by what she did. Reby picked up the broom and started to sweep. She did not have any issues with the chores, except with the parts where she would have to go to Mazude's house to fetch water. Chances are that she would meet her friends or anyone who knew her, and it would not take long before her news would reach the whole village, since one person's business was everyone's business in the village. Reby hurriedly swept the compound and went out to fetch water before others would get there. But as she opened the gate to Mazude's compound, she was shocked to see Ozioma, the village's gossip, there. At that point, Reby knew it was over for her. Ozioma's mouth was always leaking, and she knew how to make it worse by adding interesting lies to the gist. Reby frowned her face and went to fetch the water. But Ozioma ignored the stern face and started up a conversation with her. Reby, is this you? How is your husband? This one you came back. I hope all is well. Reby flashed a cold smile to Ozioma and smiled. All is well. My husband is fine. Thank you for asking. But Ozioma had a very sharp eyes, and she noticed the saggy eye bags on Reby's face. Why are your eyes swollen? Have you been crying? Did anyone beat you? Reby was pissed at this point, and she murmured under her breath, this jobless gossip. Whoever sent you this morning has succeeded. Reby ignored her and quickly fetched her water. But unknown to Reby, Ozioma's sharp eyes had noticed the fullness and firmness of her breast, and from the way Reby behaved, it was hard to miss that she was pregnant. As expected, Reby's gist was used to sell akara that morning, and from Ozioma's lips, it continued to spread to everyone. By afternoon of that same day, the news traveling around the village was that Reby was caught by her husband with another man, and he sent her packing with a pregnancy that was barely 1 month old. Her husband even beat her all the way from his house and dragged her down to her parents' house in shame. Ozioma was experienced in stuffs like this, so people bought her news and did not even bother to question its credibility. When Reby stepped out to buy bread for her mother that evening, she could feel the judgmental stares from people, and she knew at once that Ozioma must have done it. She hurriedly bought the bread and returned home. Reby locked herself in her room as hot tears flowed down from her eyes. She was now the laughing stock of the village, and her pregnancy had not even started to show. What would then happen when her belly starts to grow? How would she explain to people that she did not cheat on her husband and that it was her greed that led her back home? It was going to be a long journey of shame and torment in the village. As Reby sat thinking about her life, a call came into her phone, and when she looked at it, she saw Jojo's name as the caller. Erima felt like smashing her phone at that point, but then she calmed herself and picked up the call. She needed to give Jojo a piece of her mind. "Hello, Erima." Jojo's voice came out from the other end. "You haven't been at the shop for 2 days now. Is everything okay?" Erima swallowed hard, and when she opened her mouth, she gave it hot to Jojo. "Let thunder fire you for that question. You are a Jezebel. No wonder you could not last in your marriage. You have destroyed your own, and now you want to destroy other people's own. What did I do to you? Who sent you my way? Sure, you have finally succeeded. You have destroyed my marriage now. Congratulations. But for every marriage you destroy, you will know no peace. Continue deceiving gullible wives on how to kill their husband. One day, you will meet your doom, you agents of darkness." Before Jojo could even say anything, Erima hung up and blocked her number. She regretted ever meeting Jojo. If not because of Jojo, she would not be in this position now. She had decided to change after Ife arrested her, only for Jojo to come like the serpent and offer her the forbidden apple. Only God knows how many marriages Jojo must have destroyed with her devilish advice. Ife had called her the previous day and she had to apologize for the inconvenience, telling her that she traveled and would not be able to work again for her at the warehouse. Thinking about it now, she realized that she had been very stupid. How could she have agreed to extorting money from her own husband? Was it not like shooting yourself in your own foot? I have been really stupid. What if I had continued with this and eventually wrecked Dozie's business? What would then happen to us? Oh God, please forgive me. I am sorry. No wonder you warned us against greed. I allowed myself to be controlled by greed. I am deeply sorry. This is not who I am. I was not raised like this." Erima cleaned her eyes and then went out to meet her parents, who were resting in the sitting room. They were still very angry with her, and she knew she deserved everything they did to her. "Papa, Mama, I know I disappointed you both. I was stupid and acted recklessly. Please, I am very sorry. I have realized that everything I did was wrong. Please forgive me. I will never behave like that again. Please forgive me for the sake of this child I am carrying. Don't cast me aside. I am still your child. Please, Mama, help me beg Papa. I did not mean to bring shame to our family. I promise I will never misbehave again." Erima's parents sat in silence, looking at their daughter, and their hearts broke. They had also heard the news that was flying all over about her alleged infidelity, and even though they were not too bothered because they knew that the news was fake, they couldn't deny the fact that it was shameful for their daughter to be slandered in such a way. It was a stain to their family's name, but just as she said, she was still their daughter and they couldn't throw her away after all. Her father spoke up. "Get up, Erima. You broke our hearts, but what is done is done. No amount of anger or punishment can undo what you have done. I can see that you are remorseful. I have forgiven you and I will support you while you are here. But henceforth, you must respect yourself. You can hear what people are talking about you. That is to show you that they were already waiting for you to fail, and you just granted them the pleasure to watch you fail. Only you can fix what you have spoiled. So continue praying that Dozie changes his mind and return for you, because that is the only remedy to your situation." Her mother comforted her too. "My daughter, do you know where my anger is from? The fact that you did not even carry me along while we were doing all these things. If you had told me, I would have been able to correct you on time. The only thing I want you to do now is to cut off whatever friendship you have with those people that are misleading you. I am very sure that there is somebody somewhere blowing the fire that burnt you. Have you now seen that the person does not mean well for you? Since you have been in this house with your father and I, have you ever seen me with any friend? I mind my business and I don't share my marriage with anyone. I am very aware that so many people are waiting for my marriage to fail, and they wouldn't mind hastening that failure by giving me bad advice. In case you don't know, the institution of marriage faces the worst persecution, and that is why we have so many broken homes, with many people advocating that marriage is destructive. Meanwhile, in the real sense of it, if you have a cooperative and kind partner who prioritizes happiness and peace, what could possibly go wrong except the other partner does not want it to work, just like in your own case? But when you see a marriage in which the two partners are invested and have the same goal, you will know that marriage is sweet. You will know that marriage is heaven on earth. You will know that there is nothing like having a man or woman whom you know has your back at all times. Have you seen the way a man whose wife makes him happy smiles early in the morning when he steps out for work? Or how the skin of a happy wife glows just because she's in a happy marriage? Everybody wishes to have such a marriage, but some people are not lucky. And for some wicked ones who have failed in their marriage, they will vow not to fail alone and start targeting gullible ones so as to spoil their own marriage too. So my daughter, use your tongue to count your teeth. Reby thanked her parents for forgiving her and promised to do better moving on. They too decided to be more sympathetic towards her. The next morning, Reby was woken up by her friends. They had heard that she returned to the village and also the shameful news flying about, but they refused to believe it until they heard from her. They knew who their friend was and were very sure that she would not do something like that. Amara, Ogechi, you came to see me, Reby said as she sat up on her bed. Yes, Reby, since you decided to keep us in the dark, you returned to this village and you did not think you should tell us. How come it is Ozioma who is spreading your news about? Did you tell her anything? Reby sighed deeply and explained to them how she met Ozioma when she had gone to fetch water. Amara then asked, the rumors going on, we know they are not true, but what exactly happened? Are you pregnant and why are you back home? Reby couldn't hide anything from them, and so she narrated all her ordeals to them. The ladies were shocked and looked at Reby in disbelief. Reby, you did too much. How could you have such a husband and still choose to want to suffer? What else were you looking for? Did he ever complain that you were lazy? And that's Jojo. If she was in this village, we would have gone to meet her now and give her the beating of her life. How dare she ruin another person's marriage because her marriage did not work? She's an agent of darkness. I hope you have blocked her number. Reby nodded her head sadly. I feel so stupid and ashamed of myself. I used my hand to spoil my own paradise. Now I am here alone with this pregnancy. I don't even know what the future holds for me. Her friends consoled her. Don't worry, Reby. You are not alone. We will support you. And to begin with, don't worry, Reby. You are not alone. We will support you. And to begin with, we need to take care of that loud-mouthed gossip. We will be right back. Before Reby could even stop them, the two ladies had stormed out angrily. She knew what they were capable of doing and was very sure that Ozioma would soon be carrying bandages. Amara and Ogechi went about looking for Ozioma, and fortunately, they met her walking along a lonely path alone. Ozala's radio broadcaster, what did you say happened to Reby? They asked as they blocked Ozioma's way. Ozioma stepped back in fear, sensing that she might be in trouble. These were Ryby's friend, and they might have come to fight for their friend. Reby? Which Reby? I did not say anything. No. Is she back? I thought she was in her husband's house. Ozioma denied and wanted to run when Ogechi raked her down with her legs. Immediately, the two friends sat on Ozioma, stuffing sand and grasses into her mouth, warning her to delete Ryby's name from her mouth. One more thing, if you know how you started the rumor, Go back now and start telling them that Erima's husband traveled abroad and he decided that it was best for her to stay with her parents for the meantime because of her pregnancy. They don't have any issues. Ozioma nodded quickly and immediately ran off. Dozie soon sent the foodstuff he promised and gave Erima's mother the 20,000 naira monthly allowance he also promised. He was dead serious about his decision and did not even bother talking to Erima when he called her mother. Even when Erima called him, he refused to pick up her call. Now that Erima had the support of her parents and her friends, she dusted herself up and faced her life. Thankfully, the infidelity rumor going on about her had been replaced by the news of her husband being abroad, and she was grateful to her friends for coming through. She went to register for antenatal at the village health center when she was 3 months pregnant, and she saw other pregnant women who were not privileged to have the luxury of sophisticated maternity care. But they were happy and content, and they carried their pregnancy with so much pride and strength, being grateful for the free care they were able to receive. Erima drew strength from them and never took it for granted. On some antenatal days, as they all sat waiting for the nurses to arrive, she would sit alone, but even as she was minding her business, she would hear some of the women discussing how they had to manage their pregnancy with their petty businesses because their husbands were not privileged to have good paying jobs. And even though their husbands were working really hard, it was never enough. These women would talk about how they were saving up money with their husbands in preparation for their delivery. And Erima would fight back the tears coming from her eyes as she thought of how insensitive she had been, trying to use her pregnancy to manipulate and exploit Dozie. It was not as if he was even stingy to her, but her greed just took the better part of her. Even though life was tough for her now, Erima was grateful for the opportunity to step down once again to learn. Throughout the entire months of Erima pregnancy in the village, Dozie never showed up or spoke to her, even though he was in constant communication with her parents. And then, just when she started getting little labor signs, Erima managed to write a very long, heartfelt apology message to Dozie, expressing her sincere apology and regrets for all she did to him, pledging to be better for the sake of their child, and promising to make it up to him if he would give her a last chance. She also told him about her expected date of delivery and how she wished for him to be around to see his child. The message was delivered to Dozie's phone and he read it, but he did not send a reply to Erima. Finally, the day of her delivery arrived and she was rushed to the health center by her parents. Her 2 friends were there too to give her support, and after hours of intense labor, Erima gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. Erima was weak and closed her eyes to rest. The sound of the baby's cry gladdened her heart, but when she opened up her eyes, she was shocked to see Dozie standing by her side, carrying their son and smiling at her. Erima forgot about all her pain and tried to stand up from the bed, but she was held down by the nurses who were still attending to her. They asked Dozie to excuse them for a moment. As Dozie left, still carrying their son, Erima couldn't contain the joy in her heart. She asked the nurse when he had arrived, and they told him that he had been around when she was in labor, and he was even the person who received her son as he came out. Erima was surprised and happy, but then she remembered his words that day he had brought her back. Dozie had threatened to collect the child immediately after she gave birth. Was that why he had come? Was he really going to take her child away? When Erima's mother came in to see her, she could see that Erima was worried. Erima, what is it? Are you not happy that your son is finally here? Erima shook her head. I am happy, Mama. But I saw Dozie carrying him. Why did he come? Does he want to take our child away? Please, Mama, help me to beg him. I have changed. But her mother calmed her down. Erima, why are you stressing yourself? You don't need all this now. Haven't you been praying to God to change his heart? Have faith that God will answer your prayer. For now, just focus on your son and on recovering. Don't give yourself high blood pressure. You are still in the danger zone. Erima stayed in the hospital for 1 day, and the next day she was discharged and Dozie came to take them home. The ride back home was silent except for the cry of the baby. Erima sat stiffly in the car as she thought of what her fate would be. They soon got home and she was shocked to see a whole lot of maternity things that Dozie brought for her and the baby. Her mother and friends helped her to settle in while she breastfed the baby, and Dozie went to talk with her father. Unknown to Erima, all the while she had been there, Dozie had been communicating with her father, getting reports of her behavior, and it was all their plan for him to let her feel the weight of the consequences of her actions so that she would never dare deviate again. Her parents had also informed him about Erima's labor, and he arrived just in time to witness everything and receive the son. That evening, Dozie went to knock on Erima's door. The baby was sleeping at that time, and when she opened, she was shocked to see Dozie standing in front of her. She was nervous and confused, but then Dozie entered inside and sat on her bed. Erima could not face him, and she tilted her head downward, waiting to hear the bombshell. Dozie soon spoke up. How is he? Erima looked up confused. The baby? He's fine. And how are you? Come and sit down. You should be resting, Dozie said. Erima went to sit at the edge of the bed and muttered, I am fine. Dozie then went close to her and held her hands. Erima felt like the ground should open up and swallow her at this point. It felt awkward after all these months. Erima, I never planned for things to go this way, but I believe God had a different plan for us while we made our own plans. I love you, Erima, and I haven't stopped loving you. I believe the whole drama was for a reason, to make us stronger, and also serve as a lesson to others who would come after us. I am sorry for pushing you away with the pregnancy. I am sorry for ignoring you for all these months. It broke my heart each time I thought about you being here. But I just had to toughen up because I want you to be better. I want our marriage to be a peace heaven. I want each day to be filled with happiness and not troubles or quarrels. I am here to take you and our son home with me. Erima's heart skipped a beat as tears flowed down from her eyes. Are you serious? I am very sorry, Dozie, for everything. I now know better and I am ready to follow your lead. I will not be stubborn again. I will not do anything without your consent. I will patiently learn from you. Thank you for giving me another chance. Dozie smiled and hugged her. That's okay. I will support you in whatever you want to do, as long as it is good. You just need to carry me along and let me put you through. But for a start, I would suggest that you go back to school once the baby is of daycare age. Do you still want to study business management? Erima's eyes widened in shock. No, I don't want to do anything business again. It gives me nightmares now. I would rather study education and become a teacher. Dozie burst out into laughter. I have not had a good laugh since you were away. So you don't want to do business again? Okay, that's alright. I believe you will do well in education. You know how to talk and explain, so you will cope easily in it. Erima rested her head on Dozie's shoulder, and for the first time in months, her mind was finally at rest. She was grateful for the second chance. And she knew that now that she had a son, her responsibility had increased. She needed to do more and be better to be a worthy wife and a mother. However, she was sure she would pull through effortlessly since she had a supportive spouse by her side. She only needed to be more patient and trust his leading since he had never failed her. 2 weeks after she gave birth, Reby was stronger and Dozie took her and their son back to the city. As Reby waved her parents and friends goodbye, she knew that she had a greater responsibility and she couldn't afford to fail the many people who had hope in her. The end. If you have been following this episode from the beginning, here am I saying a heartfelt thank you to you for your support and wonderful comments. Even though the story was obviously meant to entertain and make you all laugh, there are some strong life and marital lessons in the story that should not be overlooked. One of such lessons is the consequences of impatience. There is an obvious rush in the world by many people to achieve what they are not even ready to work for. Such impatient people look at the established ones and they get carried away, forgetting that it took these successful ones long years of hard work and patience before they could achieve what they presently have. We should never neglect the importance of process in our life's journey, and remember, everyone's process is different. For some, it may take longer, while for some, it may be shorter, but none invalidates the other. Another profound lesson this story offers is on the evil of greed, which is eating the roots of many marriages. The love of money is not a good foundation for a relationship. It is shameful to see wives and husbands at loggerheads because of greed, and then one party is always trying to outsmart the other one by either stealing or being dishonest and hiding money. Such marriage can never thrive, and it will surely end faster than it began. Remember, greed is at odds with godliness. So, even if you don't want to change because you believe your partner is not worth it, then let your change be motivated by the zeal to obey God. Let me know your thoughts about the story and also share with me what life lessons you have learned from the story. I would love to read your comments. Share the story out also with your loved ones and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Also, give the story a thumbs up until I bring another story your way. Bye!